Let's finish off the rest of the operators from find mode that we haven't covered yet. They're not quite as useful as what we've covered up till now, but they can be handy in certain situations. So we'll go into find mode and pull down the operators menu, and you can see the last one's called relax search. Essentially, when you're typing kana characters into a text field, it allows you to not differentiate between hiragana and katakana. There's more to it than that, so you should look at the help file to get more information if you are actually using Japanese characters. Let's move on to the equal sign for match whole word and the equals for match entire field. And let's try this out. If you remember, we did have actually some empty values. That was in our date of birth when we imported. So we're actually going to go back to browse mode real quick. We'll switch over to our contacts. This is our form view. We're going to go into find mode and then just type equals in here. That's it, nothing after it. We'll perform the find, and you see it finds the two records that have no date of birth in them. Every single other record has a date of birth. That's probably the handiest, most useful way that you can use this equal sign. Just type it in there and it finds all records that have that field blank. So we'll switch back to our list view here. And let's go ahead and do some more examples with the equal sign. We're going to start off by going to find mode and typing in Bill. We'll hit perform find, and so we find 3 Bills and 1 Billy. Now if we change this a little bit by typing in equals Bill, you'll see we don't find Billy because it has to match that exact word, not part of the word. We can do the same thing with John, John, perform the find. So we find 2 Johns, and if we go ahead and change this to Johnny, go into find mode and type in equals John, perform that, you'll see that it only finds that 1 John. Then we'll go ahead and find Johnny again, change that to John Mark, then go back into find mode and type equals John. You see it still finds John Mark because it only had to find it in that one word. It can have other words in there, it just has to find only that word as it is. Now we can also go in here and type in equals John. This is a little bit different. When we perform the find, we only find John Hiraki. That's because the whole field has to match what we typed after the 2 equal signs. Let's go ahead and do some more examples. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and modify, take the postal code off, and then we'll add in the email address. And then we'll go ahead and show all records. You see we have a couple of places where there's email addresses here. And remind yourself that this is jmo@filemakerpros.com. If we go into find mode and type in exactly that, and then hit perform find, it doesn't find it. That's because the @ sign is a reserved character. So there's a couple ways you can solve this. One way would be to go into manage database like we told you about before and change on that field the storage options. Change it to Unicode if we wanted to. But if you don't want to do that and change the whole behavior of it, you can go into find mode and do it this way. We could type in JMO and then hit perform find. Now this finds any email address that begins with JMO, so you might find not the one that you're looking for. So here's another way to do it. Go in here and type in JMO, and then we're going to use the escape character. Right? It's right here. Put it right in there. You can type it in if you want. Then @ FileMakerPros.com. Now this is going to find it because that escape character says don't treat this as a reserved word, treat it as the real @ sign and it'll search for it. We can also, if you want, come in here and type in quote @ sign and then another quote. We'll perform the find on that and see that finds all email addresses. Maybe not as useful, but it gives you an idea how you can put these quotes around things to match a phrase. Let's do a different example here. So what we're using is this right down here, the match phrase. That means that whatever's in there has to come in that exact order, that sequence. So we're going to come in here into our company field, so we're going to actually add it in here. So we'll come in here and modify this, remove that, add in our company. And there are some additional companies we added in here, so let's show all records. We put in Paulson and Phillips and Johnson and Phillips. So we'll hit find. We're going to type in asterisk to find everything before that. Then, to make sure we find exactly what we want, SON and Phillips. That means that it's got to find exactly that order with anything before it. So you can combine a lot of these operators together to do some really interesting finds. Perform that find, you'll see it finds those two records. So it had to have SON and Phillips in that exact order with anything before it. Let's go ahead and show you some things about our date of birth finds. We're going to switch over to the contacts, go into find mode, and you can do some interesting things here. We showed you how to do the wildcard or the asterisk, but you can also type in MON ... FRI. So find all the weekday dates. So we'll perform that find. These are all birthdays that come in the middle of the week, Monday through Friday. All these come not on a Saturday, not on a Sunday. There's also a search criteria for duplicates, and a lot of people are going to love this. We're going to switch back to our list view, and we're going to search for duplicates here. We do have some in here. So we'll go to find mode, and what you do is you type in the exclamation point. That's right underneath here. You'll see it inside here, find duplicate values. Before we do the search, though, you need to understand you can only put the exclamation point in one field. If you put it in more than one field, it's not going to give you accurate results. It doesn't work that way. It can only be in one field. So last name may not be enough to find your duplicates for you. You may need a combination of first name and last name and maybe even address, or maybe city and state and first name and last name. Who knows what. To do that, you're going to need a calculation field so you can put the exclamation point in one single field. And we haven't covered calculations yet, but we'll get there. And you'll see how you can combine several fields so you can use them as one search criteria. So let's go ahead and perform this. And you'll see that we get 2 Osbornes, 2 Simpsons, 2 Wilfords, 2 Swansons, and 2 Norrises. Now, not all these are actually duplicates. The Homers are duplicates. You know, we have to figure this out on our own. It doesn't actually delete the duplicates. It just goes ahead and shows you which are duplicates. You know, Bob Wilford, maybe this is a duplicate. But certainly, Bill and Janet are not duplicates. They're different first names. So you have to go ahead and figure this out for yourself. So these operators I've showed you may be less useful, less used, but they are helpful and handy in some situations. So you want to fiddle around with them a little bit and try them out to make sure you understand them, because when that time comes and you're going, I wonder how I'm going to find what I'm looking for, these may come in handy.